صل على محمد وعلى محمد. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Please, before we get in, recite Surah Fatiha for your marhumin and for the marhumin of all those mu'mineen, mu'minat that do not have anyone to recite Fatiha on their behalf. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim ghayril maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam اللهم اغفرهم وارحمهم واسكنهم بجوار محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يوصينا معه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون الذي لا يدركه بهد الهمم ولا يناله غوث الفتن الذي ليس لصفته حد محدود ولا نات موجود ولا وقت محدود ولا أجل ممدود فترى الخلائق بقدرته ونشر رياح برحمته ووتد بالسخر ميدان عرض ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وحبيبنا وحبيب رب العالمين بالقاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعن على أدائهم أجمعين من أول يوم ظلمهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المبين وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وما محمد إلا رسول قد خلت من قبله الرسل أفإن مات أو قتل انقلبتم على أعقابكم ومن ينقلب على عقبيه فلن يضر الله شيئا وسيجزي الله الشاكرين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Dear brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. When it comes to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when it comes to his life and his personality, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us in the Quran in Surah Al-Qalam, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ azim. He tells us about the Holy Prophet that you have been created on sublime morality. Your status when it comes to morals, it's at its height. When it comes to the Holy Prophet and his life, the example that the Quran tells us to take is who? Is it the companion of the Holy Prophet in practicing our way of life? No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to us that there is a perfect example for you in the Prophet. So when it comes to the way that we should live our life, we should live our life the way, not the way the companions lived their life, but the way that the Holy Prophet lived his life. In terms of morals, the Holy Prophet says what? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent me last as messenger, sent me last as prophet. Why? Was it for salat? Was it for hajj? Was it for zakat? Was it for khums? No. The Holy Prophet says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent me as the last messenger to do what? To perfect human morals. To perfect human morals. That's the reason the Holy Prophet came last. What does this tell you? That tells you that from Hazrat Adam alayhi salam all the way until when the Holy Messenger proclaimed his mission, human morals were not perfect. One, it wasn't the job of those prophets to perfect human morals. If you analyze this hadith of the Holy Prophet, it wasn't the job of those prophets to take their communities and have them perfect human morals. That was the job of the Holy Prophet. That's why he was sent last. And when you analyze the Holy Prophet's life, you see not just from the day that he was born, but up until the last moments of his life, you learn how to live your life. You learn how to live your life. Inshallah, I had said that we were going to talk about an incident that happened with the Holy Prophet, but this incident, right after this incident happened, the Holy Prophet passed away, there's another incident that happened, which was Saqifa. And I need to speak about both of those because both of those, they happened right after the other. Right after the Holy Prophet breathes his last breath, what's happening? Saqifa is happening. It's not that a day has passed. It's not that 2 days have passed. It's not that a week has. The Holy Prophet has not even been buried yet. And what is the Islamic Ummah doing? They're fighting over who is supposed to be the successor to the Holy Prophet. This is the Islamic Ummah for you. What kind of companions are these? Think about this. How would you feel after you pass away, you find out that instead of crying over you, your children are fighting over your wealth? How would you feel? If the ummah of the Holy Prophet is considered to be the children of the Holy Prophet, how do you think the Holy Prophet felt? Think about that. How would you feel if you find that out? But when it comes to the Holy Prophet and the way he lived his life, everyone knows that saying of the Holy Prophet, where the Holy Prophet says what? Husaynu minni wana min al-Husayn. Every child, every teenager, every adult, they know this very famous thing, that Hussein is from me and I am from Hussein. Now we understand what that means, that Hussein is from me. What does it mean that I am from Hussein? How is the Holy Prophet from Hussein? And when it comes to this hadith, the ulama, they've interpreted this. If you say that Husaynu minni, you'd make it physical, that yes, Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam is from the Holy Prophet, he's from his line, it goes back to him through Lady Zahra salawatullahi alayha. Then what about Ana min al-Husayn? I am from Hussein. What would you do about that? How would you interpret that? You don't just end at the Holy Prophet. You go back to that very first creation. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Holy Prophet, what does the Holy Prophet say? That me and Ali are from the same nur. We were just one nur, that nur was split. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, be Muhammad, Muhammad. Be Ali, Ali. From that nur, who was created? Hassan and Hussein. When you take that nur back, it goes back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It goes back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the phrase, Hussein is from me and I am from Hussein, it goes back all the way there. When you look at the Holy Prophet's life, you can split it up into two parts. Those two parts are Hassan and Hussein. Those two parts of the Holy Prophet's life are Hassan and Hussein. Meaning what? Meaning that just the same way Imam Hassan al-Islam, he was quiet, meaning he signed the peace treaty with the mushrik of his time, with the kafir of his time. What did the Holy Prophet do while he was in Mecca? He had his Makki life, the Holy Prophet, and he had his Madani life. In Mecca, did the Holy Prophet fight against anyone? Did he rise up against anyone? Did he war against anyone? Did he have any battles against anyone in Mecca? No, he did not. All the Holy Prophet did in Mecca was preach about Islam. That was it. And what did he have to do? In the beginning, he had to hide his faith. In the beginning, he had to hide his faith. Even his closest companions who became Muslim, if the mushrikeen of Mecca were to find out, what would they do? They'd abuse them. They'd abuse them. You look at the Holy Prophet's life in Medina. What does he do? Every battle that was fought in Islam, it was from Medina. Imam Hassan al-Islam and his Sulah is the Holy Prophet's Makki life. Abu Abdullah al-Husayn al-Islam and him rising against Yazid, that is the Holy Prophet's Madani life. So when people say, or people ask, when Abu Abdullah al-Husayn or when Imam Hassan al-Islam, he made a peace treaty with Muawiyah, why was it that Imam Hussein al-Islam rose up? That's fine, he made a peace treaty with Muawiyah. The Holy Prophet, he had a peace treaty with who? The kuffar of Makkah, Sulh Hudaybiyah. Look at these individuals. Do you know what the conditions were? When the Holy Prophet took over Makkah, do you know what the Holy Prophet said? This is Islam. You get your Islam from the Holy Prophet. You do not get your Islam from companions. The Holy Prophet, when he took over Makkah, he gave them options. And they say that Islam was spread by the sword. Look at what the Holy Prophet does. When he takes over Makkah, he gives them options. And he says, look, all of you have options. One, if you accept Islam, you won't be killed. You won't be killed. Two, if you put down your weapons, you won't be killed. Three, if you take refuge by the Kaaba, you won't be killed. Four, if you take refuge in Abu Sufyan's house, you won't be killed. The Holy Prophet gives them four options. Yes? The fourth option is what? If you take refuge in Abu Sufyan's house, you won't be killed. Abu Sufyan was the one who battled against the Holy Prophet. He's the one who battled against the Holy Prophet. You look at that lineage of Abu Sufyan and you look at the lineage of the Holy Prophet, you see that that lineage has continued to fight. It was that lineage, and it's that lineage of Abu Sufyan that is known as the accursed lineage. That lineage. But when the Holy Prophet passed away, and I said I was going to just touch up on this topic, the Holy Prophet did not pass away of natural causes. No, the Holy Prophet was poisoned. The Holy Prophet was poisoned. But there's a difference of opinion of who poisoned him and when was he poisoned. The majority of Muslims, they have narrations that say that the Holy Prophet, after the conquest of Khaybar, they were having a feast. When they were having a feast, there was a Jewish lady who asked the companions, what is the Holy Prophet's favorite food? And they said that he likes calf. What is his favorite part? The leg part. The narrations that they have, they say that that lady, what did she do? She put poison in that part of the calf. And they put it in front of the Holy Prophet. The Holy Prophet, he just put it to his mouth and then he spat it out. Whereas one of his companions, they ate from that calf and they died. When did this happen? Right after the Battle of Khaybar. When did Khaybar take place? 7 years after Hijrah, 8 years after Hijrah. When is the Holy Prophet passing away now? The 11th year after Hijrah. How is it possible that that poison that he had barely even touched 4 years prior, now that poison is taking effect in his body? Does that make sense to anyone? No. So that tells you what? If he was poisoned recently. And this shouldn't be news to anyone. Why? Because assassination attempts on the Holy Prophet's life happened in his own lifetime, and not by the mushrikeen of Mecca, by companions themselves. After the Battle of Tabuk, the Holy Prophet's coming back, and he tells the people, all the people what? He tells them, you guys, you go from one part, I'm going to go from a different area. And he tells everyone that no one is supposed to come the same way I'm coming. Why? Because the way I'm going is a bit narrow. But you guys are a lot, you guys all can go that way. Some narrations, 12 companions. Other narrations, more than that. What did they try to do? Even though the Holy Prophet told them not to go that route, they go to that narrow pass and they try to scare the Holy Prophet's camel by throwing down boulders, trying to do that. There were two companions of the Holy Prophet with him. One of them was who? Either Ammar or Abu Zar. One of them. He tells both of those companions, you go ahead of me, because Jibril had already told them that this is what people are planning. He told them, you go ahead of me and scare them off. When they went ahead, they scare them off. The Holy Prophet told both of them that you do not tell anyone about who these individuals are. They asked the Holy Prophet, Ya Rasulullah, they attempted at your life. Why shouldn't they be killed? Why shouldn't they be killed? This is the Holy Prophet's morals. Why shouldn't they be killed? The Holy Prophet, he says, I don't want people to go around saying that these same individuals that helped me get to where I am today, I turned against them and I killed them. I don't want people to say that. This was the moral, or these were the morals of the Holy Prophet, to help their own enemies. You look at Imam Hassan alayhi salam. Imam Hassan alayhi salam does the same thing. You look at Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam, he's doing the same thing. Does he not give water to his enemies? You look at Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam. When Mukhtar, he rose up and he was finding all of the murderers of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam, one of those murderers, they came to Imam Zain al-Abidin and he says, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, please give me permission to protect, for protection. Imam, he goes, you need my protection? He goes, yes. He goes, okay, come to my house, I'll protect you. The man, he starts to cry and he says, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, you don't recognize me. Imam Zain al-Abidin says, no, I recognize you. You're the same individual that struck that spear into my brother Ali Akbar's liver. You're that same individual. I recognize you. This was the akhlaq of the Ahlul Bayt. Imam Zain al-Abidin knows who this individual is, but because this individual came to him for help, Imam doesn't say, no, leave. Imam says, you need my help? I have been sent to mankind to help them. You need my help? I'll help you. I'll help you. This is the way you and I need to be. A lot of the times what happens, we get into arguments with our own brothers, sisters. We get into arguments with other Shias. And when they come for help, or we go to them for help, what do they have? Grudge. No, we had an argument. Why you come to me? Go find someone else. That's not the akhlaq of the Aimah. Like I said in the beginning, the Holy Prophet was sent to perfect human morals. Human morals. Those are the morals that we need to have. And you see that even in the last breaths of the Holy Prophet's life. In the last breaths. The Holy Prophet tells Amir al-Mu'minin, we're going to go over Saqifa. The Holy Prophet tells Amir al-Mu'minin, Ya Ali, all of this is going to happen with you. He tells Amir al-Mu'minin, this is what's going to happen with Lady Zahra. This is what's going to happen with you. Amir al-Mu'minin, he says, Ya Rasulullah, if this is truly what's going to happen with me, then what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? The Holy Prophet, he tells Imam Ali, Ya Ali, if you don't have 40 companions to rise with, then I want you to stay quiet. If you don't have 40 companions on your side, then I want you to stay quiet. But if you do have 40 companions, then rise up for your right. Rise up for your right. So what does that tell you about Amir al-Mu'minin when he did not even have 40 companions? Very famous story. Right after Saqifa happened, 12 people, they come to Amir al-Mu'minin. Ya Ali, rise up. The first person that came to Amir al-Mu'minin was Abu Sufyan. But after that incident, 12 people, they come to Amir al-Mu'minin. And they say, Ya Ali, rise up, we'll help you. Amir al-Mu'minin, he looks at them and he says to them, you're going to help me? You're ready to sacrifice your life for me? Yes. He says, then do me one favor, that's it. Do one thing for me. They go, what is it? All of you tomorrow, shave off your hair and then come back to me tomorrow. Shave your hair off and then come to me tomorrow. The narrations, they say that 6 of them did, 6 of them did not. And Amir al-Mu'minin, he looks at them and he goes, if you can't even shave your hair for me, what makes you think I should believe that you're willing to give up your life for me? Who were these people? These were the people that were telling Amir al-Mu'minin, Ya Ali, we're willing to help you. Isn't that what the definition of a Shia of Imam Ali is nowadays? Anyone that says, Ya Ali, we're here to help you, Ya Imam Zaman, we're here to help you. When in reality, that's not the definition of a Shia. The definition of a Shia is to put your step where your master puts their step. That's the definition of Shia. Where are we and where are the Shias of Amir al-Mu'mineen? They ask Imam Ali alayhi salam. Youngsters, they come to Imam Ali alayhi salam. It was really dark. Imam Ali alayhi salam did not recognize them. And he asked them, who are you? And they reply, Ya Ali, we're your Shias. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he looks at them. When he gets closer, he goes, you don't have the signs of my Shia. They go, what do you mean? He goes, look, the Quran says Ibrahim was a Shia. Ibrahim was a Shia. Don't say that you're one of my Shias. Just say you're one of those individuals that has love for me. Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam says the same thing to one of his companions. Don't consider yourself to be a Shia. Consider yourself to be someone who has love for us. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says the same thing to one of his companions. Imam Kazim, Imam Riza alayhi salam. When all the Imams are telling their companions, don't call yourself a Shia, because being a Shia, that's of a high status. Just say that you have love for us. That's what we have for them. That's what we have for the Ahlul Bayt. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. When it came to the Saqifa, the narrations, they state that as soon as the Holy Prophet passed away, Umar ibn Khattab, he was in Masjid Nabawi. Abu Bakr, he wasn't in Medina, he was in the outskirts of Medina. As soon as the news started spreading that the Holy Prophet had passed away, Umar, he comes out from Masjid Nabawi. Some people, when they imagine how it looked at that time, they think that, you know, this was Masjid here, and then you had the houses of the Holy Prophet and the wives somewhere out there. No, it wasn't like that. All the rooms or all the huts of the wives of the Holy Prophet, they were all connected to these walls. If this is the wall of a masjid, the Masjid Nabawi, that means that the rooms and the halls of the Holy Prophet's wives are all connected. Okay. When Umar ibn Khattab heard that the Holy Prophet has passed away, what does he do? The first thing he does is he runs towards the door of the Holy Prophet's house and he brandishes his sword. And he says to everyone that anyone that says the Holy Prophet has died, anyone that says that the Holy Prophet has passed away, I'm going to kill them. In anger, out of his senses. The narrations, they state that Abu Bakr comes. As soon as he comes, he goes into the house. When he goes into the house, there's a man who comes to Umar and he tells him that in Saqifa Bani Sa'da, they've gathered and they're talking about the Khilafat. Umar, he tells him, go inside. Abu Bakr's inside. Tell him that there's a very important matter that we need to attend to. These are this in Bukhari, Muslim. There's a very important matter that we need to attend to. Is there a more important matter than the death of the Holy Prophet? These are the companions. Abu Bakr, he comes out. When he comes out, he recites the verse of the Quran. If the Holy Prophet passed away or if he's dead, will you then return back to your old ways? As soon as he says this, all of a sudden now Umar is in his senses and he says, yes, the Holy Prophet has passed away. The Holy Prophet has passed away. Before this, Umar used to say, what? No, the Holy Prophet hasn't passed away. He's just gone into hiding and he'll come back. And when he comes back, he's going to kill all those individuals who claim that he was dead. If he's gone into hiding and he's going to come back out of hiding, what is this? They tell us we have these beliefs. They tell us that we have these beliefs that are not Islamic. What is ruj'at in our belief? That the Imams, that they're going to come back. This is one of our beliefs, and some of the Imams, their narration from them, they say that anyone that does not have this belief is not from amongst us when it comes to the return of the Imams. Because this world was not created for tyrants to rule. This world was created for the representatives of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to rule. If you look at the history of the world, how many tyrants have ruled the world and how many representatives of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rule the world. So that means that until the day of judgment, this world needs to exist. And what? The representatives of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala need to rule this world. So the justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can be meted out. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Abu Bakr comes out and he says, yes, the Holy Prophet has passed away. Now Abu Bakr and Umar, they've gone to Saqifa. What's happening at Saqifa? The tribes of Medina, they're talking about who should be Khalifa. Who should be Khalifa? And the people there were just the Ansar. Now who's coming? The Muhajirin are coming. Now there's an argument that arises where the Ansar, they start to say that we're the ones that helped the Holy Prophet. We're the ones that helped the Holy Prophet. He came to our city. These are the people that made him run away. He came to our city. We gave him help. We should be the ones to rule. By the time Abu Bakr, Umar come, they start to argue. They say, look, everything that you've done, that's absolutely true. You've done that. But what does the Quran say? What does the Quran say about the Muhajirin? What does the Quran say about the Sabiqun? The ones that came earlier. The Quran praises them, and we are those people. Do not take away, this is for us. That's when they all say, okay, you know what? There's going to be a Khalifa from the Muhajirin. There's going to be a Khalifa from the Ansar. This wasn't acceptable. And you have the majority of Muslims, they say that there was a consensus on Abu Bakr. A consensus. Where was the consensus? The Ansar did not want him. The Banu Hashim, they weren't even there. No one from the Banu Hashim was there. They were all there with the Holy Prophet. Where was the consensus? Whereas they even have narrations, at least for 6 months, Amir al-Mu'mineen did not pledge allegiance. And even at the end, he did not pledge allegiance. He was forced to pledge allegiance. That's a different story. So where was the consensus that Abu Bakr was elected Khalifa? Because all of the Muslims decided, yes, he was the rightful person. There was no consensus. When you look at the historical incident, what does it say? It says, Umar, he elected Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr, he said, no, it should be Umar. It should be Umar. So that tells you what? That tells you that this numerical order was already set. That one of them will be the first, the other will be the second. This was already set from before. And when you look at history, when Khaybar came, this was the same order that they were going in. When it came for Lady Zahra's marriage, this was the same order that they were going in. When you look at all of these other historical incidents, this was the same order. It'll always be Abu Bakr, then Umar, then Fulan, Fulan, Fulan. Here it's the same thing. At the end, in Saqifa, what happens? Someone from the Ansar, he says, okay, you know what? Abu Bakr will be the Khalifa. One of the elderlies from the Ansar, they say that Abu Bakr will be Khalifa. And they pledge allegiance to Abu Bakr. When they asked Imam Sadiq alayhi salam who that person was, no one recognized that person. The first person to pledge allegiance to Abu Bakr, when they asked Imam Sadiq alayhi salam who that person was, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, the first person to pledge allegiance to Abu Bakr, he was Shaitan himself. No one recognized who he was. But he came, he pledged allegiance to Abu Bakr, and it was accepted. When it was accepted, then one by one, everyone else pledged allegiance to him. Now, when it comes to Khilafat, I hinted a couple of days ago that this Khilafat is not a status that is becoming of anyone. This Khilafat is an ukhda that is given from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's given from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you look at the verses of the Quran, the very first Khalifa on earth was Hazrat Adam alayhi salam. And for Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says what? I am going to place a Khalifa on earth. I. And I had made this point a couple of nights ago. Wherever that word Khalifa is used, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I will do it. I will do it. When it comes to Hazrat Dawood alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we made him Khalifa. We made him Khalifa. When it comes to after what happened with Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says what? We made them Khala'ifa. We made them. The emphasis in the Quran on Khalifa is what? That it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who decides. When it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who decides, then what right do I have to choose? If I choose someone, that person will be my representative. That person will not be the representative of the Holy Prophet. That person will not be the representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But they will be my representative. So these individuals were not Khalifatullah. These individuals could not have been Khalifatul Rasul. Why? Because the Holy Prophet, as they say, did not leave a Khalifa. If you argue that the Holy Prophet did not leave a Khalifa, that he left it to the Islamic Ummah, then that means that the last sunnah of the Holy Prophet before he left this world is what? Not to leave a successor. That would be the last sunnah of the... If you argue that the Holy Prophet did not leave a successor, then the last sunnah of the Holy Prophet was to leave this world without a successor. If that's the case, then why is it that Abu Bakr, he made Umar's successor? Was that sunnah of the Holy Prophet? No, it wasn't. If that's the case, why is it that Umar, he had a whole group of people with a circus of rules and regulations? That's not the sunnah of the Holy Prophet. When you ask them, how is this acceptable? What do they say? What do they say? One, that verse or that narration of the Holy Prophet, anyone that dies without knowing the Imam of their time dies at the death of Jahiliyyah. Jahiliyyah. Anyone that dies without knowing the Imam of their time dies the death of a Jahiliyyah. So that means that what? If you die in the time of, right after the Holy Prophet, if there was no Imam, and if anyone was to die, they wouldn't know who the Imam was, they died the death of Jahiliyyah. Meaning what? As if you were in the time of Kuffar. So that's why they decided to make Abu Bakr Imam. That's why they decided to make Abu Bakr Khalifa. Why? So that these Muslims would know who the Imam is. Did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not know? Did he not know that this was a narration of the Holy Prophet? Or this was going to be a narration? Surah An-Najm, I've emphasized it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says what? Everything that the Holy Prophet says, is that of his own accord? No, Surah An-Najm, verses 2 to 5. They say that everything that he says are but a wahi or but wahi from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when he says that if you die the death without knowing, or if you die without knowing the Imam of your time, you die the death of Jahiliyyah, that means what? This was wahi. So that means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should have already let people know that yes, in every time there's going to be an Imam. And every time there's going to be an Imam. So who is the Imam? Abu Bakr? If he was the Imam, if he was the rightful leader of the Islamic Ummah, look at everything that he did, inshallah. In the coming days, we'll look at his Khilafat and see if that's what an Imam was supposed to do. We'll look at the Khilafat of Umar and see if that's the way an Imam is supposed to rule. We'll look at the Khilafat of the third and we'll see if that's the way a representative, a Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a Khalifa of Rasulullah, if that's the way a true Khalifa is supposed to be. Khalifa, it means what? To come after. Khalaf, it comes from Khalaf. It means to come after. If you're coming after Rasulullah, that means that you should have the same morals as Rasulullah. If you're coming after Rasulullah and you're claiming to be the Khalifa of Rasulullah, you should act like Rasulullah. That's what it truly means. And inshallah we'll see if these Khalifa, if they acted the way Rasulullah acted. Abu Bakr, he becomes Khalifa. The first thing that he does, He wants zakat. When he wants zakat, no one's willing to pay him zakat right now. No one, when I say no one, 3 months ago, when they were coming back from Hajj, over 100,000 people had already heard that Amir al-Mu'mineen is going to be the Khalifa of Rasulullah. And from those people, there were Shias of Amir al-Mu'mineen that were living in Yemen. One of the first things Abu Bakr does is sends his emissaries to Yemen to collect zakat. And it wasn't even that they didn't want to give zakat, it was they wanted to know what happened in Medina that Abu Bakr is asking for zakat. And they tell him that the Holy Prophet has passed away and Abu Bakr has become Khalifa. And they say, Abu Bakr has become Khalifa? How? We ourselves heard that Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib is supposed to be Khalifa. And they said, no, we're not going to give it to him. If that's the case, we're not going to give it to him. The battle takes place. The Yemenis, they get killed. The women, they get captured and they get taken. The first thing, over what? Money. Did the Holy Prophet in his lifetime kill anyone for not paying zakat? That's the first question that needs to be asked. In the Holy Prophet's lifetime, did he kill anyone for not paying zakat? No, he did not. So where did this come from? Do you see the game that was already played with Islam? And that's the reason Islam has fallen so far today. Brothers and sisters, all of you, read about the history of Islam. Read what some of these companions truly did to the Holy Prophet. Read about what they did to the Quran. Read about what they did to Islam itself. And you'll come to the conclusion that no, these companions, they weren't companions. You all yourselves, you know, if you have 30 friends, are all of them your friends? No. There are going to be some people that are hypocrites. So how is it possible that when it comes to the Holy Prophet, that yes, all of them, they followed the commands of the Holy Prophet, they obeyed him completely? It's just not possible. Because why? Those companions were not infallible. Your friends, our friends are not infallible. Those companions were not infallible. It wasn't about them Ayat al-Tathir was revealed. It was about who? Amir al-Mu'mineen. It was about who? Lady Zahra. It was about who? Imam Hassan. It was about who? Imam Hussein. It was about who? The Holy Prophet. But the sad reality is that these individuals, they were belied and the companions were taken as truthful. That's the sad reality. When it came to Saqifa, this was another cornerstone for the events of Karbala to happen. And I said from the beginning that Karbala, that Amr bil Maruf was the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen. That's what that was, the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And you see that 3, 4 of these incidents are over the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen. The next incidents that we'll talk about in the coming days, you'll see that they're also over the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Saqifa was not the taking away of political power. Saqifa was the taking away of the rulership, of the adalat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this world was created for. That's what Saqifa was. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he comes to Abu Bakr and he tells him, Abu Bakr, if someone comes, when he took away Fadaq, he comes to him and he tells him, Abu Bakr, if someone comes to you and complains to you that Lady Zahra, she is stolen, what would you say? And what would you do? What would you do? Abu Bakr, he says, Ya Ali, I'd do the same thing that anyone else would do. He goes, what is it? I'd punish her. I'd punish her. If two individuals come to me and they complain to me and they tell me that Lady Zahra stole, I'd punish her. That's when Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, if that's true, then you've become a kafir. If that's true, then you've become a kafir. Abu Bakr, he goes, how? He goes, if you accept their testimony that she's done something like that, then what you've done is you've belied Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who's purified her from lying. Who's purified her from lying. Abu Bakr, in the eyes of Amir al-Mu'mineen, has become kafir. Abu Bakr, from the perspective of the Quran, has become kafir. These companions, and these are the companions that are said about, oh, they're the ones that are going to go to heaven. Read their history, brothers, sisters, read their history. And I know some people, they might not like these types of lectures. Why? Because it goes straight to the reality of these companions. And they start to say that, hey, you know what, talking about this topic, talking about these companions, it starts putting fitna within Islam. And Islam doesn't need that. Islam doesn't need fitna. That fitna started 1400 years ago, and that fitna is still going. This fitna isn't something new. The only way to get rid of this fitna is come to the consensus that yes, the right of Amir al-Mu'mineen was taken from him. Come to the consensus that yes, the Ahlul Bayt were oppressed. But when we don't even come to that consensus, what will happen? There will continue to be the strife within Islam. There will continue to be the strife. And when you come to Karbala, you look at the last sermon that Abu Abdullah al-Hussein gave. What is he trying to do in that last sermon? In that last sermon, he's still calling people towards himself. He's still calling people towards himself. What is he reminding them of? He's saying, do you not know who I am? I am the grandson of Rasulullah. Rasulullah, he is my grandfather. You recite his kalima. You claim to follow his religion. I am that individual's grandson. Tell me, what have I done wrong? It's you all that called me here, and now you all have come out with swords against me. I came here, why? Because you all had written and said to me, Ya Hussein, we don't have an imam. Come and lead us. And now you all have come out with swords against me. To the very last moments of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein's life, he's calling people to the truth. With his actions, he's calling people to him. Yet no one's willing to listen. From today on, from tonight on, we commemorate the shahadat of whom? The Banu Hashim now. And tonight we are commemorating the shahadat of the two sons of Lady Zainab salawatullahi alayha. Do you know who these two sons, about these two sons? The narration state that Abdullah ibn Jaffar, Aoun and Muhammad did not come with Lady Zainab and Abu Abdullah al-Hussein al-Islam from Medina to Mecca. No, they didn't accompany Imam Hussein al-Islam. When Abu Abdullah al-Hussein al-Islam, he was leaving Mecca towards Karbala, towards Kufa, Abdullah, he comes and he tells Imam Hussein al-Islam, Mawla, you told me not to come with you. And a lot of people, they ask us, why did he not go? Why did Muhammad Hanafiya not go? And they both answer that. They both say that our name wasn't there in Karbala. We already knew. Muhammad Hanafi, he says, we knew the names of the individuals and their parents' names about who will be with Abu Abdullah al-Hussein in Karbala. But Abdullah ibn Jaffar, he says, Mawla, you did not allow me to come with you, but please take these two sons with you. One will be a sacrifice on behalf of Amir al-Mu'mineen. One will be a sacrifice on behalf of Jaffar Tayyab. Who? These two sons of Lady Zainab. When Imam Hussein sees him, he asks Imam Hussein, Mawla, can I see Lady Zainab? Lady Zainab, she sees him and she says, Abdullah, if you're here to take me back with you, I'll tell you one thing. I'm your wife. I'll listen to you. It becomes wajib on me. But I want you to know that I can't live without Abu Abdullah. Even if I was to go back with you, I can tell you that I will pass away. So if you've come to take me, you can. Abdullah, he says, Ya bint Rasul, I have not come here to take you. I've come here to give these two sons as a sacrifice. Aun will be a sacrifice from you. Muhammad will be a sacrifice from my behalf. Sallallahu alayka ya Rasulallah. Sallallahu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Sallallahu alayki ya Siddiqatu Fatima. Sallallahu alayka ya Hasan al-Mujtaba. Sallallahu alayka ya Gharib al-Ghuraba. Ya Aba Abdullah al-Husayn. Brothers and sisters, Aun and Muhammad, they were considered to be one of the youngsters in Karbala. The narrations, they state that one of them was 13, the other was maybe 2 or 3 years younger. And when Aun and Muhammad, the night of the Laylatul Ashur, Lady Zainab, she has both of them in the tent, and she's talking to both of them, and she says to both of them, Oh Aun, oh Muhammad, I want you to know one thing. Tomorrow there will be a battle, and I want you to do everything that you can to sacrifice yourself for Abu Abdullah al-Husayn. Sacrifice your life for your uncle. Aun Muhammad, they tell their mother, Oh mother dear, you don't have to worry about us. We will definitely sacrifice our life. We'll show these enemies that we, from one side, we come from Ali, Haydar al-Karrar. From the other side, we come from Jaffar al-Tayyab. When Lady Zainab, she hears it, she tells both of them, Oh Muhammad, I have 2 requests of you. And both of these sons, they look at the mother and they say, Oh mother dear, what are those 2 requests? My first request is that if you can kill Umar Sa'd, I want you to kill Umar Sa'd. The second request is that while fighting, if you get to Furat, I don't want you to drink any water from Furat. Why? Because the children of Hussein, they're still thirsty. Both of these sons, they look at their mother and they say, Oh mother dear, we'll make these 2 promises to you. The narrations, they state that when the 10th of Ashur came, Abu Abdullah al-Husayn, he has not given permission to either of these 2 young boys to go to battle. When he's not given permission, Lady Zainab, she comes out and she sees both of them. When she sees both of them, she looks at them and she says, Oh my 2 sons, you have not gone out yet. That's when they cry and they say, Oh mother dear, our uncle does not give us permission. That's when Lady Zainab, she calls Abu al-Fazl Abbas and she says, Oh my brother Abbas, can you call Abu Abdullah for me? When Imam Hussein comes, she looks at him and she says to him, Ya Hussein, why have you not given permission to these 2 sons of mine to go to battle? Imam Hussein, he cries and he looks at Zainab and he says, Oh my sister Zainab, maybe Abdullah, he did not want them to go. She looks at him and she says, Oh Hussein, he told me that one of them will be a sacrifice from my end, the other will be a sacrifice from his end. When Imam Hussein heard this, that's when he gives both of these 2 children permission to fight. One of the children, Imam Hussein, puts on the horse. The other child, Abu al-Fazl Abbas puts on the horse. Brothers and sisters, the narration states that these 2 children, they fought, they get to Furat, but they don't drink any water. When they come back, that's when the army, they surround them. And when the army surrounds them, they strike both of them. One of them, they fall down to the ground right then and there and they pass away. The other one, the narration states that their foot was caught in the stirrup of the horse, and that horse ran a couple of miles, and then that individual, he fell. The narration, what did they say? When Imam Hussein when he got to the battlefield, he picks up one of them, and the life was still in them, and they call out, and when they say, Ya Abu Abdullah, that's when Imam Hussein, he starts to cry, and he takes that body back to the camp. When he takes that body back to the camp, Lady Zainab, she's doing sajda. Imam Hussein sees that she's doing sajda, so she does not bother him. The narrations, they said that in Karbala, Lady Zainab did not cry over her son. When they go to Kufa, she does not cry over her son. From Kufa, they go to Sham, she does not cry over her son. From Sham, they come back to Medina, she goes to Rasulullah, she cries over Hussein. She goes to the grave of the mother, she cries over Hussein.
Hussein. When she finally comes back to her house, when does she cry over these two sons of hers? When she sees the two musalla, when she sees the two prayer mats of both of these individuals, that's when she remembers both of them and she cries over both of them.
Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Wa la'natullahi ala qawmil kafirin. Matam Hussein.
हाय मेरे अब्बास, हाय मेरे अब्बास, जबरीदा सर से छीनी मैं सदा देती रही, तू नाया गाजी। जबरीदा सर से छीनी मैं सदा देती रही, तू नाया गाजी। आले इमरान ने कहा और जिंदा ने कहा, ये बहन के